Hey, I'm going to be talking about the new movie that dropped on Netflix on May 3rd called Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile, which is a biopic about serial killer Ted Bundy, which is told from his former girlfriend Elizabeth Kendall's point of view. I think her real name is Elizabeth Crawford. Uh, the movie stars Zac Efron as Ted Bundy, Lily Collins as Elizabeth Kendall, John Malkovich as I want to pull up the judge's name. Judge Edward Cowart, and Jim Parson. I think his character was Prosecutor Simpson, and Kaya Scodelario as Carol Ann Boone, who was Ted Bundy's wife. Before, he was married to her during when he was going on trial in Florida. I first heard about this movie, I believe, like 2 years ago, 2017, I believe. They were showing pictures, comparing Zac Efron with Ted Bundy to show, like, how he would look like in the movie. And he does kind of look, like, similar to Bundy in certain shots. And I was kind of interested, like, I would like to see this because, mainly because of Zac Efron. And I was kind of in the camp of, I was worried about this because, I've known Zac Efron. He's more of a teen heartthrob, and I've known him from, like, High School Musical, the Neighbors movies, Dirty Grandpa. He was in a bunch of comedies and, like, teeny bopper kind of movies. And I honestly have never seen him play a serious role before. And especially one where he's portraying a real life person who's also a serial killer. It kind of did interest me, and I was kind of apprehensive to see how he would portray him. Now I know this movie had some distribution problems. I think the only two companies that would pick it up was either Netflix or Lionsgate, and obviously Netflix won the rights, and that's why over here in the US and probably Canada, I'm not sure, and at least in North America, we have the movie on Netflix, but over in the UK, Sky has the rights to the film rights. So they have it like on a limited access television thing, kind of like HBO, I guess, or they can see it in the cinema over there. Now I do have an interest in serial killers, and Ted Bundy is the one person that actually got me interested in serial killers. Where I live in an area in Florida where I'm sorry, my eyes are getting watery. Where his last victim, Kimberly Leach, was actually kidnapped and killed. So when I was growing up, I heard a lot about Bundy. And I know a lot of people that worked on the case somehow. There's actually, I'm not going to tell you what city or city I live in, but there's actually like a paper about court records about Bundy being held here. And this little museum here also has Bundy's jail cell. So I heard about a lot about Bundy growing up because, hearing people that were involved in the case and stuff, like teachers I had that were in former law enforcement. Also, I don't live that far from Tallahassee, Florida, where the Kaya mega murders happened. So yes, Bundy in this area where I live is kind of like a stain here. So, but this movie is based off the book. I think it's called The Phantom Prince by Elizabeth Crawford, who was Bundy's ex-girlfriend. And I never read the book, so I don't know like how much of it is accurate. But I'm glad that they went this route because I've seen a lot of movies about Bundy, and it's always about his murders and in his trial, which this movie does cover his trial, but it's not the main focus of the movie. And I'm sorry, I know a lot of people are complaining that this movie did not show the murders or anything like that, and I don't understand why, because we have two other movies. I can think of the 2002 movie, and I think one that came out 2004 or 5 that shows Bundy's murders and his trial and shit. So I don't know why we need another movie about this. I mean, there weren't that great of a movie. They weren't great movies, but whatever. It was just nice seeing a different perspective to Bundy for once in film. Uh, I'll admit that so I do like this movie. I'm just gonna come flat out and say it. I thought that Zac Efron did an amazing job playing Bundy. You don't see his murders or anything like that, but you do see how he was very manipulative, how he would con people and trick his girlfriend to make it seem like he was an innocent man, and how the public, mainly women, were wooed by him because of his charm, his somewhat good looks. He was a college educated, all that, and it really is fascinating. Now, this was the director of this movie. I forgot to mention is Joe Berlinger, who who made the Conversation with the Killer, the Ted Bundy tapes, the 4-part documentary that came out on Netflix earlier this year. I think it dropped in January, like around the time of around the anniversary of Bundy's execution. And basically, that goes through from like when he started out to, his childhood, to his killings, to his execution, all that. And I thought that was a pretty good documentary. I mean, I've seen a lot of documentaries about Bundy and read a lot about him, so it was kind of just rehash of old information. But it was still a pretty good, well put together documentary. Joe Berlinger I've known him. He's directed a lot of true crime documentaries. I think that's what he's mainly known for. And the ones that I know him from is the Paradise Lost documentary series, the trilogy, I mean, which is about the West Memphis 3, and those are really good. If you haven't seen them, you should check them out. So I'll admit though that this movie does feel kind of rushed, like at the beginning, because it starts out with Bundy he's on death row and he's talking to Liz for the last time, and then it goes back to when they first met and how their relationship developed, which I felt that how the relationship developed went by pretty quick. Really didn't show like how they became. It's kind of like love at first sight kind of thing in this movie. Like he meets her, he instantly like starts taking care of her and her child, because she is a single, or I guess she was a single mother, and then Bundy came in and kind of adopted the stepfather role. So, but after a while, when it starts getting into, like, when Bundy when first got arrested, and then all the other charges he was getting up until Florida, when he has to go on trial in Florida, it kind of picked up for me. And like I said, I loved Bundy's performance, or not Bundy, damn. I love Zac Efron's performance in this movie. Like I said, he played the very sweet, innocent, loving husband, or boyfriend and father, but you could tell, like, he was hiding something. And they did use they did imitate real footage of Bundy and the other characters in the movie did imitate real footage of the actual people, and they show it at the end. Like there's one scene where Bundy's it was one of the recorded interviews. I think it was in Colorado when Bundy had the beard and the mustache, and he was talking, and Zac Efron mimicked his Bundy's facial movements and how in cadence and all that really well. There was also one where Bundy's in Florida and he's he's getting served his indictment, and Bundy's like flipping out saying, I'll prove that I'm innocent right here and right here right now. They show footage of that, and God, I'm gonna keep calling him Bundy. Efron pulled that off really well too, with the mannerisms and cadence and all that. Lily Collins as Elizabeth Kendall, I thought that she was pretty good. I mean, she doesn't really do much though, because she mainly, I mean, she keeps like the suspicious girlfriend thing going really well, but most of the time she's like sitting at the house drinking and watching the trial and being very depressed. I mean, there's a moment where she's at work. There's moments where she's at work, and then she starts building a relationship with Haley Joel Osment's character in the movie, and they kind of have like a little back and forth because he likes her, but she's still attached to Bundy, and he wants her to let him go because he knows that he's not a good guy. And I mean, her performance was decent. I mean, it wasn't that much, not like Efron's performance. John Malkovich is just John Malkovich. I mean, he's more laid back in this, of course. He makes a lot of, kind of, I guess I'll call it dad jokes about Florida and stuff like that. Which I did laugh at a few of them. Jim Parsons, he plays the prosecutor, and I thought that he did pretty good. He did really well, especially delivering, like, the lines about, when he's describing the crime scenes during the Chi Omega murders. He did that really well. Like, he felt like if he was a real prosecutor, I would believe him, like, kind of thing. That's what I'm trying to get at. But that's basically it for, like, the cast, though, and the acting. I think the main draw was Zac Efron. Kaya Scardero? I don't know how to say her last name, I'm sorry. She plays Carol Ann Boone, who was, Bundy's girlfriend, or became Bundy's wife during his trial. And, I don't know, she's like one of those weird women. If you watch, like, real footage of her, she's, like, obsessed with Bundy for some reason. I think they were best friends for a while. And then, like, they fell in love, and they had a daughter when Bundy was in prison. There's a lot of confusion about that. And then, but she did a really great job, and the makeup job they did on her was amazing. She kind of did look like the real life Carol Ann Boone. She was pretty good. She's not really in it that much, but yeah, I think I covered all the major players in this. The movie is shot really well. Like, it's lit very well. It's, the cinematography is really good. I mean, I'll admit, like, the first half of the movie, like, when it's showing his relationship, and it kind of jumps through all the crimes that he committed, so you don't really get a full scope of what it is. But I mean, if you know about Bundy, even if you watch that documentary on Netflix, going into this movie, you should know, like, what he did and the crimes that he committed and all that. So, I know a lot of people are bashing it, and I mean, like, even before the movie came out, people were saying that it was glamorizing Bundy because they got an attractive actor to portray him, and, people were complaining about the documentary doing that, because a lot of women were saying, oh my god, Ted Bundy's sexy, this and that. But I mean, it's been going on for a long time. Since Bundy was alive and on trial, there's footage, and they even replicate it in the movie, of women frothing at the mouth for him. It's not a new thing. It's been going on for years. And I'm not, I don't know if I call it a fan, but I've been interested in true crime for a while now, and it's not a new thing. This is a lot of women and some men do obsess over serial killers and find them attractive. So, but this movie does not glamorize Bundy. It humanizes him a little bit, yes, because it's told from his girlfriend's point of view, but it does not glamorize him. It shows how he was, how manipulative he was, and the kind of power he had over people because of his charisma. But anyways, that's my review. I highly recommend the movie. I mean, it's not gonna be to everyone's liking. I know a lot of people are, like I said, were complaining about it not showing the murders and all that. But I mean, it was nice to see a different take on Bundy for once. Anyways, that's my review.